Let's talk about why relationship goals are bullshit. My socialization about what love is and what partnership looks like has been so tainted by a really narrow ideal. Because we're constantly inundated with pro-romance propaganda, I have not been able to completely shake what an aspirational couple is supposed to look like. And the more I think about it, the more I look around me and see all of the diverse arrays of couples and families that exist, the more I am completely convinced that relationship goals are bullshit. Here's why. 1, they maintain heteropatriarchy. I'm rejecting this idea of relationship goals not because it's wrong to look at people and admire the lives they've built, but because usually our imaginings of relationship goals embody the narrowest forms of respectability. For example, I loved the Black Love series on OWN, but you can't help but notice that Black love in that context equaled married and heterosexual. This being consistently held up as relationship goals poses a real problem for people of color and for queer folks who tend to do life differently. A cultural emphasis on heterosexual partnership maintains a system called heteropatriarchy that pushes all sorts of people to the margins: poor folks, LGBT people, non-white people. It locks them out of tons of rights and benefits. And that's not cool, because people with non-normative family structures and relationship models do exist. And that too is Black love. That deserves to be celebrated. It's critical that we think about why certain family structures and relationship models are held on a pedestal and others aren't. And it has nothing to do with what's natural. The West uses emphasis on male-female partnership to maintain social order, and conservatives have never tried to hide that fact. But same-sex marriage is not a fix either. As so many queer activists and scholars have noted, gay marriage can be used to reinforce heteronormativity. That is, the idea that there are male and female gender roles that are natural. Gay marriage can do this by reinforcing the wed, non-wed binary. We do ourselves a huge disservice by seeing these images, internalizing them, and not doing anything to question them. In Punk's Bulldaggers and Welfare Queens, The Radical Potential of Queer Politics, scholar Kathy Cohen questions assimilation as a goal. She writes, "Many of us continue to search for a new political direction and agenda, one that does not focus on integration into dominant structures, but instead seeks to transform the basic fabric and hierarchies that allow systems of oppression to persist and operate efficiently." That's so important. We know how things are, but if we're not using our personal time to reimagine how things could be, what are we even doing? 2, relationship goals make people lie. Folks build so much of their lives and public persona around performing love and performing ideal couplehood that when things aren't good, they're incentivized to lie or conceal the truth. For more than a decade, nobody embodied hashtag relationship goals better than Beyonce and Jay-Z. We see them being beautiful and rich and traveling the world and hanging out with the Obamas. They went out of their way to project this image of them as an impenetrable unit. And they did such a good job that when Beyonce dropped Lemonade, I refused to believe that she was talking about her marriage. But she was. Beyonce decided after years of being one half of the perfect couple to blow that shit up. And to be clear, the need to perform ideal couplehood is not just for rich folks. A study of Facebook behavior found that people who go out of their way to post more frequently about their relationships on Facebook are less happy and less satisfied in their relationships than people who don't. They're often doing it to mask insecurity. All this talk about hashtag goals creates an environment where people don't feel safe being honest with themselves or us. And finally, relationship goals cause us to discount the many forms of love in our lives. As a feminist woman, I'm not anti-love, I'm not anti-men or partnership or procreation, but I am for creating a world where everybody, no matter the partnership model they choose or the family structure they choose, feels equally supported both socially and structurally and affirmed in those choices. We're not there yet. In her book, Why I Am Not a Feminist, Jessa Crispin breaks down the problems with our fixation on this heteronormative romantic love. We're taught as women that whether or not we have value as human beings depends on what men think of us. Whether or not a woman is worthy of love is determined by men. When romantic love is our ultimate goal, when it's seen as the central feature of our lives, we have to spend an undue amount of time trying to be lovable or as Crispin says, fuckable. But think about it. There are so many other ways we could be spending that time. In our families, in our communities, on our work. But instead we have to, as Crispin notes, wait for men to redeem us. How in the world is it possible for somebody to be steeped in a community of loving friends and family and still say they're alone? Is that healthy? I've asked rooms full of women about the concept of relationship goals at Black Girls Gather events, and inevitably it takes us a minute to get to non-romantic love. Why? We're just not taught to put as much effort into the maintenance of our friendships and our relationships with our family as we are with our partner. And that kind of neglect often leads to a sort of slow, painful emotional death that you really have to face once your romantic partnership ends. So look, there is nothing inherently wrong with desiring companionship. I mean, I want it. It's natural. Human beings need connectivity and that social connection to thrive. And if you want to have a baby the old-fashioned way, you gotta find somebody to do it with. The problem, of course, is that our society is structured to privilege a certain kind of partnership, and these relationship goals don't help. So think outside the box, blow up your ideals. We'll all be better for it. Well, that's it, you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Check out all of the sources linked below. And if you learned something and want to help me make more videos, leave a tip. Thanks, guys.